Hi everyone, it's Deja. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I wanted to show you how I made this really cute fall shaker card using the debossing tool on my Cricut Maker 3 machine. Please note that the debossing tool works only on the Cricut Maker machines and is not compatible with the Explorer series, Joy or Joy Extra. If you're a card maker or a Cricut lover, please keep on watching. I hope you enjoy this video. To get started, I'm going to start off in Cricut Design Space by going to the Shapes option menu and selecting a square. And then I'm going to close the side panel to get that out of the way. And then I like to always start with a clean white box just because it's easier for me to work with. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up to the color option and change my square to white. Then I'm going to unlock the lock button up here to change the dimensions of my card, and because I'm making an A2 size card, I'm going to change this to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and then make sure to lock the lock button again. After that, I'm actually going to go back to the Shapes menu option and select a circle. I forgot that I needed that, so I'm just going to go back and click on Shapes, and then I'm going to select the circle and then close the sidebar. And for this part, I don't need to change the color of the circle, so I'm just going to keep it as black. And then I'm just going to drag the circle over here on the corner to get it down to the size that I want it to be. And I like it to be at 2.5 inches all around. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to align it on the white rectangle in the upper right, right where I want it to go. Once I like the alignment, then I'm going to select both the white rectangle and the black circle, and then I'm going to go up to the pencil options up here, and I'm going to go down to where it says Align, and then I'm going to click on Center Horizontally. Now that I am done aligning the black circle and the white rectangle, I am ready to go and slice these two items together. So to do that, I am just going to go down to the bottom right corner of Cricut Design Space and click on Slice. And what that does is it punches the circle into the white rectangle, and as you'll see, anytime you use the slice option, it's going to create duplicates of whatever you slice out. So what we've done is we created the window for our shaker card. And you'll see here that I deleted both circles, but I ended up adding it back because I thought I might need one of the circle. So now we need to go and get the rest of our designs, and I am going to look for the fall wreath, and I have the image that I like already, so I'm going to go ahead and type that in, and then this is what I like. The image code is right up here in this corner, and you just have to click on the little green tile that says Add to Canvas. And then because I have a few more images to add, I'm going to click on the back option to go back, and then I'm going to put in the next image code to pull up the sentiment that I'm going to use on my card. And this sentiment says Happy Autumn, which is super cute. I really like it. And here's the image code again, and then click on Add to Canvas. And then we have one more image that we need to add to our canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and type in that number. Once I have it, click Enter, and then that image will pop up. This is going to be the image that we are going to deboss onto our card front. And here is the code, and I'm going to click on Add to Canvas. Now that I have 3 of the images that I need for this card, I can go ahead and click X to get out of the images search menu, and then I'm going to be back in my canvas. And it's going to look really crazy when all of these images are on your canvas. They're like blown out of proportion, right? So we're going to focus on one image at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and hide the sentiment and the debossing background, and we're going to start off with the wreath first. So what I'm doing right now is I am basically decreasing the size down because this is going to sit right on top of that little punched hole. It's going to hide the edges of the circle to make it look really pretty. Again, that circle that we punched out, that is going to be the window for our shaker card. So now that I have dragged this down to the size that I want it to be, I want to create an offset. So to do that, I'm going to make sure that I select my image, go up to the pencil option, and I'm going to click on Offset, which is right here. And This offset is currently set to 0.25, which is just a little bit too thick for my liking. So I'm going to actually change it down to 0.10 and then click on apply. And my offset is currently in the color black, and I don't want it to be black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I click on the offset layer over by the layers panel, and then I'm going to go up to the colors and change that offset to white. All right, and what you'll notice is that there's these little holes inside my wreath, and I don't want my Cricut to cut holes there. So I need to make sure that that part is gone. So what I'm going to do is go down to the bottom where it says contour, and I'm going to hide these contours. I don't want my Cricut to cut these little holes out, but I am going to keep the middle part out. I do want my Cricut to cut out that piece. And here you'll see that after I hid those little holes, like hid the contours, now it looks like the way I want it to be. So I'm going to select both the image and the offset, and I'm going to make sure I select both of them and then go to flatten, because essentially what I want is I want my Cricut to print this image out and then cut specifically around the parameters that I have set it to be. Now we're going to do the same thing for the Happy Autumn sentiment. We are also going to create an offset, and then we're going to select both the offset and the image to be print then cut. And I'm not going to show that part because it's really just exactly like how we did the wreath. And this is how it's going to look. It's going to sit on top of the card front exactly like this. So I'm just going to move these to the side now that we're done with these images. I'm going to go ahead and hide them because we don't need them right now. Now we're going to focus on the debossing part. And this is where it gets to be a little tricky, but just bear with me. For this part, I need to make a duplicate of my card front. So now that I've made a second one, I'm going to drag it down. Then I'm going to drag that background image right over the front of that first card front. And then I'm going to select both that card front and the image. And then I'm going to go up to the pencil option and click on Align in the center so that they are both aligned perfectly on the top and the bottom. After that, I'm going to make sure that those two are still selected, and then I'm going to go down to Slice. Now that I've sliced it, you are going to have a total of 4 images. And I know this part is really confusing, but this first one you don't need. And then here you'll see that here's one that got sliced, here's another one, and here's the third one. So what I'm looking for is, if you look at this one, it's got a bunch of really rigidy edges on around the circle, and I don't want that, so I'm going to get rid of that one. Now these two, to me, they look identical, except one is darker and the other is lighter. But essentially I picked the darker one just because it's easier for my eyes to see. And then I'm going to select both that image and the card front, and then go up to the pencil option, click on Align, and then I want to click on Center so that they are both equally aligned. Now they are not attached together, and I do want to make sure that I tell my Cricut machine to do the correct thing. So on the layers panel, I want to make sure that I click the right slice result image, and it's going to be that top one. I'm going to click on that, and then I want to make sure to go up to the cut settings and click on the drop down option to select deboss, because if I don't do that, Cricut is going to cut exactly how it looks. So I want to make sure I change that. Now I'm going to select both that top layer and the card front image on the front. You'll see that they're both separate. Now I want to make sure that I attach them together so that Cricut knows that I want to emboss it first and then cut. Now let's take a look at all of our layers. You'll see here that in the card front, well, first let's get rid of this circle because I didn't even need it. So it was just kind of in the way. All right, let's take a look. So we are going to look, this is our sentiment, and then this is the wreath that is going to go over the card front. And so as you'll see, you should only have these 3 different layers. One is the card front with the embossing and cut, and then you have the print and cut for the wreath and for the sentiment. So again, if you aren't sure, just go ahead and toggle open to look at all the layers and make sure that it says exactly what you want Cricut to do. Okay, now we're going to go and click on Make, and my Cricut Design Space is asking if I want to save, Yes, you should definitely save your work so you don't lose anything. I'm going to label this card as Happy Autumn Card, and I'm going to choose my card collection so that it stays with the correct collection. So now my Cricut Design Space is displaying the 2 steps that it's going to take. It's going to do exactly what I want it to do. So the first mat is going to be the print then cut, and then the second mat here, where you see here, it's going to emboss first and then cut it out. So again, just make sure that you double check to see that it's doing exactly what you want it to do. Now I'm going to go back to the first mat, and I just want to let you know that I did this recording after I did my initial project, so it's not going to look exactly like this, but it's still the same thing. It gets printed and then it comes out and then you send it back through to the machine to get cut. So here I am selecting my Canon printer because that's where I want it to go, and then I'm going to turn off bleed and send it to the system dialog. And sometimes a pop-up comes up behind Cricut Design Space. You just have to minimize it and then it comes up. And then I'm just going to click OK. And then for my cut settings, I am cutting this on 80-pound white cardstock. And so that's what I'm going to choose with more pressure. And all you need is just your fine point blade for this step. And this is exactly how it looks like when you cut it out. Again, the lineup is a little bit different because I did this before I did the recording on Cricut Design Space. But basically, I printed it out and then I sent this back into my machine, and Cricut is going to cut out the image exactly how I want it to look. And as you'll see here, I'm going to slowly remove the cardstock paper because I don't want the paper to rip. I don't want to accidentally ruin my images. And so I'm moving it away carefully from the mat. And you'll see here is my sentiment. Now I do also want to recommend that before you do any print then cut, you want to always calibrate your printer and your machine first, because it was a little off here, but it wasn't so bad that I had to redo the whole thing all over again, but just a FYI. And here's my wreath. It looks so pretty. I can't tell you enough how much it looks like I stamped this and then die cut it out. Now, don't waste that piece of 80-pound cardstock because you're just going to cut off that, the part where you cut it out, and then use the bottom half. And this part is where you're going to send it back into the machine. And before you do that, you have to change your tool because remember our card front, we are debossing the top part. So I'm going to take out my fine point blade and insert in the debossing tool. And it looks something like this. And you're just going to put it right inside the tool blade holder and then close it up. And then I'll send this back into the machine. My machine is going to deboss over the card front. And then after that, here you'll see that I switch the tool out. I'm going to put the fine point blade back in so that Cricut can cut around the square or the rectangle and also cut out that window, the circle, so that it looks exactly like what we created in Cricut Design Space. And so now that it's finished, it's super simple. It's going to come out, and this is the final look of our card front. I hope you can see it. It's kind of bright with the lighting, but it's really pretty. You can see the really pretty embossing. And here comes the exciting part. I am going to color my fall wreath with these beautiful colors that I have chosen. These are alcohol markers by the brand Ohuhu, so I hope you enjoy this piece. Here is the final look of my beautiful fall wreath, and now I'm going to cut out a piece of Cricut acetate sheet, and I'm just going to cut this down to size. If you are using Cricut acetate, remember to remove the protective film on both the front and the back side because it is on both sides. And then once you remove that, you can go ahead and glue that to the back of your card front. Again, this is our window for our shaker card, and I am using my favorite Barely Art glue. It is one of my favorite glues ever. Flip this over, and then I am going to press this down firmly to make sure that it adheres to the back of the card front. So remember, you don't want to do this to the front, you want to do this on the back. So it should look something like this. Once the glue dries down, I'm going to grab my double-sided adhesive foam tape. This is 1/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to create a little square around this window because I'm going to put some really cute embellishments in here and I don't want it to fall out at all. I'm going to add some more tape around so that I can glue this to the card front. I do want to mention that I did trim the card front down. I did cut off about 1/8 of an inch on all sides just because I just really like that look a little bit more. So remember, I did start off with 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so I did cut off 1/8 of an inch on all sides. Alright, so before I add my embellishments, I do like to sweep up the inside first because sometimes dust and debris get inside the window and I really hate that. So I'm just using a brush to brush that off. Now I'm going in with the anti-static powder just so that my little embellishments don't stick to the acetate. It can move around more freely. And so I'm just going to place this on the front and I'm going to spread them out to make sure that they're all flattened and they're not laying on top of each other, because if you don't do that, they're going to get stuck on that acetate sheet. So just make sure you flatten it out. Then I'm going to remove the little backing of the adhesive foam, and then I'm going to try my best to center this as best as I can. This is always the biggest challenge, but just go slow and try your best and everything will turn out just fine. I do feel like I was a little crooked, but you know what, that's okay. It's still super cute. And then I'm just going to press firmly to make sure that that adhesive foam tape really sticks to that card base. Alright, now we just have 2 more steps, and that is to put our wreath on. I'm just cutting out really small square pieces of tape from this, 1/8 of an inch foam tape, and I'm just cutting them into little small squares, and then I'm just going to place them on the back here. And once that's done, I'm going to place this right over that window, and it's going to look so cute. Just the way it is. You can, again, when you're designing this in Cricut Design Space, you can decide how big you want your shaker window to be. You can decide how big you want your wreath to be. So, this is really all personal preference. It's really however you want it to be. And now I have my sentiment. I have the same adhesive foam tape on the back of it, and I'm just going to place it right here. I thought it looks kind of cute as sort of like a bow. It's not a bow, but it just kind of looked like it completed the whole look, and I really liked that. And you can leave it like this. This would be the finished look. If you're a little extra and you want to add some more bling to it, you could add a little bit more of those embellishments, that same embellishment that I use in there on the outside. I kind of regretted doing this, but it's alright. It still looks cute. And here's the final look. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm not the best tutorial teacher out there, but this was just my fun take on it, and I hope that this inspires you to use your Cricut to make some really cute cards this holiday season. Obviously this isn't just for fall, but you can also make Christmas cards, Halloween cards, and I'll be sure to link some of my other card making videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye!